All right, this is a Ondere KH892E. This is a customer carriage, and again, this is Catherine's sinker plate. This is the classic example of, okay, it was a little more involved than they really thought. They put all the pieces in a box, and they sent it to me. Now, we're actually going to start with doing Fair Isle, and the reason is everything else was working just fine, and Fair Isle would not work. And what I found was the customer had put a part back in that had fallen out. This classic sproing when you take it apart. And he had put it in backwards. And it took me a few minutes to look it over and realize, aha, that doesn't look right. Took it apart again. And now here we go. We're going to do some Fair Isle knitting. We're using a patterning card, and it's pretty easy to see the needles are, in fact, responding and changing. It's not as easy as the one-by-one card, but we are seeing the pattern emerge as we go along. Now, let's take a peek at the material that we're producing down here.
What I did here is this is an argyle sort of design, and at this point I swapped the background color for the foreground color just to make sure that they would do that, and they did beautifully.
And it would make a really nice looking sock, but that's not what we're doing.
No, but we could think about that for the future. Okay, let's do some other stitches, okay?
Go
Ready?
ahead.
A little N. Whoops, no need for the second color in N. Just normal knitting. We have a long swatch, so I know this has been working well, but we want to do it on camera.
Right, this is...
Now let's go to KC so that it will select needles. I've switched to there. Knit across, still in N. Now let's push both tuck buttons.
Okay.
And we're going to do the same pattern. It actually works as a tuck pattern as well. Now, without changing anything else, I can go straight to 2 part buttons, and it will become a slip pattern. And when we look at the swatch, of course, it'll get much skinnier at this point, because slip does. The needles are being selected in the same manner, but when tucking, some needles collect loops. When slipping, those same needles are just bypassed. That's why the fabric is different. And I'm going back to N, knitting a couple rows. I've already tested partial knitting or short rowing, but it's a good thing to always do. I have to be an H for hold, which I am, because issues will show up when short rowing that don't show up elsewhere.
Yes, and since this one was really in a lot of pieces, we wanted to make sure that all the pieces are in there just right. We had flippers with the springs not behind them correctly. We had flippers in the wrong position. You know, they have a resting and an acting position, and these were resting in the wrong spot. But again, anytime that you want to try it, you go right ahead. When you get to a point where you think, okay, I'm just beyond what I can do with this, I'm always here to back you up. And this is proof that I can put them back together no matter what condition they come in.
Okay.
There we are.
I've short rowed down to just 4 needles. I'm providing a little downward pressure with my thumb rather than weights. That's called short rowing in, just as in a sock heel. Now I'm going to start short rowing out, putting needles back to work. And every row will get longer instead of shorter.
And let's point out, because this was a concern, that she's pushing the needle into the intermediate position, and the carriage is putting it back into the work position.
Yes, that's one of the odd things. I've never had it happen before, but my first test of this machine, before Jack made another adjustment, needles in this position came forward into hold rather than pulled back into work as they should.
And that was the problem I mentioned. The flippers were resting in their active position instead of their rest position. It was on either side of a posted stop. And it wasn't readily apparent. They were both clicking just fine. The springs were attached. But that's what they were doing. They were going forward when they shouldn't.
No, you wouldn't use this one for a sock heel because I didn't wrap, and it does make lacy holes. But it's certainly short rode without any issues. Good machine.
It could be a lacy sock heel.
It could. Let's flip it up and have a look at all the different stitches.
Okay, yeah, this one got quite involved. There was a lot of testing.
Yeah, this is a big piece of the tuck version. And you can see how much skinnier the slip gets. Same pattern in slip. Some more straight knitting. This was my mess up. Good bit of Fair Isle. Then I did it all again twice so I could reassure myself and also do it on camera. And there's another sock heel down here at the very beginning.
Right. And again, one of the reasons for doing these videos is so that we can show the customer, yes, it is working. And especially the way the shipping departments are around here, it was working when it left here. If there's any damage in transit, now we have negative proof that it was working just fine when it left here, and somebody needs to do something about it.